Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Stuff, and we're hanging out, doing a little bit of happy hangout. So go ahead and grab some models. I try to do these every single Friday night, where just take about 2 hours and just sit down, do some wholesome hobby stuff. And yeah, so tonight what I'm going to be doing is building a whole bunch of Skaven things. I talked about them earlier. I was on today doing like an unboxing review of Carrion Empires, the Skaven Endless Spells, and then the Gnawholes. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just start building stuff. And we'll talk about why I have them, why I'm building them, and all that stuff in between. And I will be berated for hobby ADD. You know, it's whatever. Everyone, no one's ever been mean to me. It's always in jest. But yeah, so let me just... I forgot to open up my chat service here before I started, and it looks like it's loading now. Awesome possum. Give that a second to boot up. So if you are in the chat and you can't hear me, go ahead and type something. Let me know that it is indeed working. And I want to say a huge thank you, because the necessary requirements are meant to become an affiliate over on Twitch just recently. So I'm very excited about that. And so let me think. I'm looking at the all the instruction booklets from everything. So I'm just looking at what I want to work on first here. Forgive the super messy hobby space. Let's see. So we got the Bombardier. I'm actually probably not going to keep the Bombardier. I might actually give that away to Shu over at Rerolling Ones. I know he wants that. You know what? I've been playing a whole lot of... Oh, what do you call it? Total War lately, and the Doom Wheel is amazing, so maybe that will happen. We'll think about that. Let me think about that one. Let me see here. My phone's being all kinds of strange. I got it propped up right here. Awesome, people are piling in. Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me. So let's go with probably the Storm Fiends. Let's start with the Storm Fiends, just because, you know, they're gonna be one of my troops choices. Yeah, let's do that. So let me grab the Storm Fiends booklet. Boop, doop, doop, boop. Okay. Jack says, feel free to put together the flesh eater courts. Nope, that's all you, buddy. I will happily let you jump on that grenade. Okay. The problem is I lost everything I needed since the last time I recorded. Hobby knife's gone. Anarchy ensues. Cats and dogs living together. It's probably underneath this. Yep, there it is. Alright, so let me get this out of the way. And we're just going to start building some Storm Fiends. Okay, so we have... Yeah, looks like this is the Storm Fiend sprue. Is it just 2? Oh, no. 2.5. 2.5 of the metric sprues. Nico the Viking over on Twitch. Howdy. What up? Yeah, so what I would say, let's start off with some conversation here. What's everyone working on? I'd love to chat about that, see what everyone else is building with me. Futile says, hype, and throw some bits. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Yeah, I'm, can't say how happy I am that I reached the affiliate level and that kind of stuff. Just, there were a lot of people who just don't like Patreon. They're like, you know, you gotta get on Twitch, help me out. So, yeah, it's cool stuff. People are incredibly cool. So, yeah. Let's see here. So we are going to build, there's just 3 of them in the box, which this is a lot of sprue for 3 dudes. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I know it's like $60 or whatever. That's ridiculous. Let's see here. I have 3 sets of Storm Fiends, and building them was an absolute pain. Well, that does not inspire confidence. Okay. Now, from my understanding, is that you have to build them the way pretty much that they describe, right? There's no base weapon. They each get 1 of the weapon options. I'm just going to read ahead and make sure of that fact before I start building things all willy and or nilly. Okay, let's see here. No, look like there's some weapon options. So let me look at the, where's the war scroll at? Storm Fiends. Let's see, you know, Storm Fiends has any number of models, 1/3 of them rounding up, armed with either warp fire projectors or wind launchers, 1/3 armed with rattling cannons. Okay, so there are some weapon options. Gotcha, but it's like one's a melee variant, one's a shooting variant. I got it. Okay, I'm on board. I'm gonna put this here. I'm just gonna decide what I want. So, 1/3 can be built with warp fire projectors or wind launchers. Warp fire projectors or wind launchers. I think I'm gonna go with, where's the let's see here. Sorry, I'm doing this on camera. I wish I had known that there were so many options. So warp fire projectors do not use attack sequence. Roll a dice for each model in the unit that is within 8 inches of the attacking model. I am thinking I'm gonna go with wind launchers because there's ways to improve the shooting. That is my logic. I'm gonna pause. People in the chat, let me know what you think. Let's see here. About the wind launchers versus warp fire projectors. I think wind launchers. Okay, but second option is rattling cannons or grinder fists. Rattling cannons. 3d6 attacks, 4 up, 3 up. -1 or grinder fists. But grinder fist lets them tunnel. But I do plan on having the tunnel dudes. So that is kind of a non-thing. Yeah, let's see here. Hey, I'm trying to get used to watching you on Twitch now. Well, thank you. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Let's see. If you can magnetize, it's not too difficult. Let's see. How difficult is that? I really don't want to magnetize because my Dremel is deafening. It is straight up. I hate using it. No, I'm gonna just build the first ones. I have more inbound. So let's just build them. I can magnetize stuff in the future. Okay, so I'm gonna go with up to 1/3. You can either be armed with Doomplayer gauntlets or warped laced armor. Doomplayer gauntlets, boom, and warp laced armor. I don't know what that is. Warp laced armor. Here we go. Model wearing warp laced armor has wound characters of 7 instead of 6. Ooh. So I can make one guy have 7 wounds. Okay. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna go with wind launchers, rattling cannons, and the Doomplayer gauntlet. That's the most in-your-face impact that there is. So that's what we're gonna go with. We're gonna hop on that. And ready, go. Let's see. Bust out the instructions. And start from there. Looking for 38, 49, and 50. 38. Like I said, I don't usually build when I do hobby hangouts just because it requires a little bit more of my focus to do that. Warp fire. What did I say? Warp fire, grinder fist, shock gauntlets. Let's see. Grinder fist and shock gauntlets. Tell me, why would you go for the warp fire projector over the wind launcher? I'm very curious about that. While I clip things out that it doesn't matter what the armament is. I'm very curious about that. I'm one of those people that, like, when I look at weapon profiles, I don't see what's great about them all at once. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't have that eye of, like, this is how the math hammer pans out. I just kind of think about stuff that I can connect with, like range, you know, given their movement value and that kind of stuff. 50 and 49 right here. But yeah. One of the things I wanted to chat about tonight while we're just hanging out. I know a lot of these folks in the chat, I'm recognizing a bunch of names, so that's cool. From earlier today is talking about why I am building up rat dudes. The idea is that, and this is all, it went through my patrons over on Patreon, and I so appreciate it, was just, I want to start going to conventions. One of my 3 hobby resolutions, like if you will, was to go to more conventions, and actually I have the chance to go to Nova this coming year. And when I say chance, I mean I have the time available, and taxes were not brutal to me. I don't have the disposable income to do it as of yet, but I can make that happen. But yeah, I want to start traveling, and part of the issue is with that is, how do I bring my army with me? And the Beasts of Chaos are cool, but I'm not traveling with that many models. It sounds soul-sucking. And so, how to find a solution for that. And so, yeah, I was looking around, and I put a poll up, and there was Stormcast, my Vanguard idea for Stormcast, as well as Magakin was in there for a mix. But the thing with Magakin is I had to buy everything. Like, none of my friends or anything are getting rid of Magakin, which is kind of the value of the Stormcast. Jack has everything, and so he was getting rid of those. But let's see, I'm looking for 47. They split these things up in the weirdest ways sometimes. 47, 48, 47. Halfway there. But yeah, so Magakin was definitely going to be the most expensive of all of them, by quite a margin. I was like, no, I want to be wiser than that. So, yeah, kind of put that on hold. Asked around, made a poll, and people decided, like, Skaven with a focus on Scryer, like, make it happen. So, we're doing it. And let's see. This is the kind of stuff where I get confused, where it's like 47, 49, 48 is just lost to the void. Let's see. It's like a big arm gauntlet. These are not it. You on this one? 48, 48, 48. Not initially seeing it. 47, 48. I don't know. This is to me, model building is the worst part of the hobby to me. I sincerely dislike it. Which is why I am quick to turn down Jack's offer to build the Flesh Eater Courts. It's just, some people really do have a true gift for, like, finding the stuff and then assembling it just right and filling in all the gaps. I just, like, I miss it. Oh, wait. Somehow, I actually already used it by accident. Aha! I was so good at building models, I already used the piece. Okay, so we need, let me just figure out here. That's the right one of that. And they should snap together. Not sure if that's right. I am sorry for the mind-numbingly boring stuff going on right now. It is not intentional. But yeah, so I wanted to travel with something that needs some army a little bit lighter on models, basically. Fewer models. And so put the poll up there. People voted for Clan Scryer. And I was like, yeah, dude, let's do it. So I had Carrying Empires from when Jack definitely wanted the Flesh Eater Courts half, and we both wanted to see what, like, the tokens and the story were in there, and so we just kind of got to getting that and split it up, and yeah, the rest is history. And then one of my amazing patrons, I won't say his name because I didn't ask, I never think to ask, said, like, hey, if you're doing that, I have a whole bunch of Storm Fiends, like, we can use those and get you up and running. So I was like, yeah, this is amazing. So I'm very pumped. It's coming together pretty quickly, and it's going to be very low model count, very easy to transfer. I'm seriously considering getting one of those, like, travel cases. It's basically a backpack, and so just loading it, getting an army configuration together that's going to load up into a backpack and just kind of like that. Let's see, Warp Launcher, Rattling Gun, and Shock Fist is probably better for shooting. Quantum Jolt asks, what's your Twitch? If you look in the description down below, you will see a link to it. And thank you very much for joining me over here. Let's see. The thing I don't understand, I may have messed up on, is basically I took one of the pieces and put it in the wrong pile, and so now I'm trying to figure out where does it belong. And I'm just not sure. Okay, like which of these arm things belongs on the right side? They almost look identical. Let's see. No, this is definitely the right arm. Okay, boop, and a boop. Cool, good. And yeah, so I'm very excited about it. I never owned a Skaven army. I mean, like, I bought the Island of Blood set when I first started playing, but I was definitely more there for the high elves, because Warhammer Fantasy Battles, it was so intimidating to like have so many stinking Skaven models you needed to like have an army, that I was just like, I'm gonna say no to that one. So sold those off pretty much immediately, and then I played the high elf stuff for several months. Really enjoyed it. It was back when I had been painting for a while, but I kind of went with the studio scheme, which I regretted later when I was like feeling more comfortable with my painting skills. And so I wanted to do something different later on, and they split the faction up to 1,000 Ways Till Sunday. So I was like, yeah, I can do something else. So yeah. But let's see. Daniel Brett says, morning. Where you at? I'm interested. I always like to know where people are calling in from, because I'm trying to get a weekly schedule, like a very regular schedule together. And one of the times slots I want to do is consistently, and I'm going to do it tomorrow, is Saturday, well, for me, around 11. It seems to be in the evenings over in the EU, where folks from like Switzerland and England and that kind of stuff it's a reasonable time frame for folks to pile in from work and hang out and chat. So people have asked that for quite a while. But anyway, I always like to know, because I want to get my time zone schedule right. That'd be really cool to hang out with more people. You can look up your demographics like on YouTube or whatever, and it's so hard, because a third of the people are in the US, a third are in the EU, and then another third are in Australia, and you're like, man, that could not be a harder split. And I just want to make everyone feel special. Let's see here. What time is it for me now? It is 9:22 in the evening. I just got back having a lovely cider with some friends. Cider and sour beer are my drinks of choice. Let's see here. And just trying to line these things up, and they don't seem to want to go. Alright. Pardon me, I don't mean to be so quiet. Just trying to get stuff lined up correctly. This is one of those things, I'm building a ton of them, so I'm sure once I get the first ones built, everything else is going to be really easy. I just got to figure out, how the models go together and stuff like that. It's always, learning it is always the worst part. Morning from Finland. Okay, sweet. Let's see here. I already got that one. Okay. Cool. I think we're good. From the UK, it's 5:20 in the morning. Just about to head to work. You have to get work? You destroyed my wallet. I don't know what I did to destroy your wallet. That's funny. I assume it's the stuff that I typically get blamed for, which is like, I didn't care about this thing at all until you made me fall in love with it, which is like the best. I don't know. I like hearing that kind of stuff. Someone's like, I didn't have an interest in this thing until you made it interesting. I'm like, that's cool. The problem is that you listen to me. Okay, that looks right. Yep, his arm's at a crooked angle. Elbow goes right in there. looking good so far. Oh boy, it's 223 in Brazil. Whoa! Got some Boar Boy Maniacs on the painting table. That's awesome. I'd love to know what everyone else is painting. I asked that earlier and nobody responded. That's cool. You know, everyone's too busy hobbying to stop. I understand it can be a pain if you're like actively doing something like I am and then try and go and type in something. Totally get it. As far as what I want to do with the Skaven, you know, I just want to make a cool story. I want to have like a cool Skaven clan, and then just you know, if I ever get hobby burnout, just go play some Vermintide and have a blast, or Total War, because being Skaven in Total War is legitimate. It is super legit, so I always like that. Just another way to express an interest in an army is always a good thing. But I did have a chance to, in between these things, to read up a little bit more about the battle tome and people who received it. And you know, for some reason, maybe I just subscribed to the wrong channels. Initially, it seemed like people were really negative about the Skaven book, but I think that was just people, I don't know, venting or whatever. I'm not quite sure. But the stuff I've listened to recently, there's a more positive attitude. So Warhammer Weekly is definitely more in the positive end of stuff, and that's cool. I like those guys. Let's see. Yep, this will be that guy. Painting Zangor Enlightened at midnight in New York. Nice. That's awesome. I actually am going to clear out my Zangor stuff. It doesn't fit with what I want to do, and the army as a whole is just a lot of models, and so I'm like, you know what? I painted up, what is it, 6 Enlightened, 6 Skyfires, and a Shaman. Like, yeah, man. But, you know, they all went really fast. The Zangor stuff goes really fast, except for when you get to the face plates on the Enlightened. For whatever reason, they are hyper detailed, and it took me forever. Okay, wait. It looks like there's something blocking this. Oh, I thought it was a piece of, like a connection joint, but it's actually a piece of sprue. Okay. Which, of course, made the entire thing just kind of collapse. Okay. So, slowly understanding. Whoever in the comments said that this was a pain in the butt, it's dawning on me. There we go. Okay. There's just a lot of little parts that look like they're part of the model, like little nubs, like, you know, they would put a little nub in there to make sure it fits in properly, but they're not. Let's see this one on this one. Yeah, there is a little bit. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Sweet. That one in there. Nice and solid. More Boingrot Bounders. That is awesome. Tell me, actually, I'm curious, if anyone plays with the Gloomspite Gets book, how's it going? I mean, that's probably the simplest way to ask that question. How you doing? I'm very curious about that book. You know, that's another one where when that one came out, I immediately saw the advancement of what they did in Beast of Chaos. Like, it just looked like that, and then I was like, it's like the Beast of Chaos one, but just kind of better. And I don't mean that in the sense of like competitive play. I just mean the wording, and they tried different things. And the endless spells I thought were more intriguing. Like, it was just different, you know what I mean? 34, 33 for the feet. Let's see here. Yeah. So I'd love to know. I know Jack has definitely played Gloomspite Gets, but like he's played against them at a local tournament scene we have here. But the guy quit way too early and just kind of like forfeited. Like, you know, Jack has the shoot cast, which if you haven't seen it, go watch the rerolling ones battle report today, and you can see Jack's shooting Stormcast army, and it's devastating. No, there's no joke about it. But 36. Okay. But yeah, so he came down. He did his like big shooting, his big first wave of shooting, and the guy pretty much just conceded. And Jack was like, "No, you should have ground me out. I mean, even if I stole one, you could have maybe given me a minor victory rather than if you forfeit, you give your opponent a major victory." And those things matter when it comes to the end of the event. You know, and everyone's trying to figure out who's in first place. But that is honestly the only story I've seen. And that guy went really heavy into stabas, like the basic Moon Clan Garrote. Whereas I think a lot of, I don't know. I'm curious to see what the real power players of that army are. I'm not a competitive guy. I just mean like you know, is the whole point weight of infantry, or are there a few units that are like scalpels that can get in there and toss it up? So yeah. I got 12 CP in one game, battle shock immunity, and auto run for days. Alright, I dig that. How are you getting so many command points? That's interesting. I suppose everyone can have that many command points. You would just not bring models, but I'm assuming that there's an alternate way. Let's see. So, yeah. Oh, as far as stuff that I'm doing this weekend, as I'm just chatting, which is what this... I think this falls into a just chatting category on Twitch, which is funny. There's like a bunch of scantily clad women, and then there's just me building models. Yeah, I fit right in. So... for this, I think he has knee pads. What are these? Helps me so much. Oh, yeah, they are knee pads. Cool. When I can look at the model that's completed and get a sense of what it's supposed to look like. But these are kind of interesting looking. Ah, they go the other way. They're upside down. Duh, they're upside down. Looking, Loon King and 2 Fungoid Cave Shaman plus the moon gives you an extra one. You know, that's a book where I got it. I did the lore stuff and then put it away and never touched it. And by that I mean I never looked at the, like, how the mechanics bring those fluff pieces to life, which I'm regretting now. You know, I wish I had spent more time with it. Yeah. Do you have any ideas for green Chaman bases? I don't know. Green for green. It's a very specific color. I don't think I do. Can you describe what you're trying to articulate a bit more? Like, what are you trying to represent, kind of thing? Because if you're just looking for like general greens, you could do something like patina effect from like Rust or something like that. So it looks like this one goes over here. Probably should put glue on there before I try attaching the foot. Skipped a step there. All right. Sorry, I'm just reading your comment. Redbeard Heathen says, how long you been on and how much longer are you on? So I just got on half an hour ago, building up some Storm Fiends, and I'll probably be on for until about 11 is the plan. This guy is imposing. Once I figured out the arm thing, it's not super well articulated. I wish there was like more pictures, but this guy is cool. He's gonna stand on a rock and just like, I don't know, be a beefcake. Lucas asking about the base says, I got a dark blue and red Seraphon that are really asking some green. I want them based in Shaman. Oh, okay. Let's see here. Red Beat here, then just subscribe. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm actually gonna mess with that. I know people complained about the sound that kicks on. Let me see if I can do that without crash and everything. But thank you so much. I super appreciate that. Everything does help, and pretty soon I'm gonna start doing stuff where, like, you know, if you're a subscriber, you can play games with me. Meaning, if you have what is it, like Warhammer Total War, Skaven Tide, come game with me, that kind of stuff. My patrons are also always invited. But as far as your question, Lucas, I'm sorry, the chat kind of rolled up a little bit. As far as green in Shaman, what are green metals? Like, I don't know. What you could do is metal-y stuff, you know, like lead belcher, but if you give it a wash of Bealtan green, it'll have a green hue. Waywatcher green will also make everything a green hue. Like I said, the patina effect on metals. You could do, I don't know, man. That's a tough one. It's a real tough one, I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. Green crystals. Oh, that was a great idea. Let's see. 4041. We want these two. Yeah, green crystals would be super cool. It depends on what kind of green you're going for. I mean, all of those suggestions work. I'm curious as to what you're going for. If you want it to pop, crystals are great because, like, they have a kind of that light effect, you know, refracting light and that kind of stuff. So that'd be cool. 71. It's a rock he's standing on. Is it? Apparently somewhere there's just a giant rock. $71. That's a high number. I think it's over here. Nope. But yeah, that's just something that I'm thinking of. The crystal one's it's a super solid suggestion. Oopa. Stuff's rolling away from me. Let me see here. This is the worst. It is the worst when you can't find something. So here's what's interesting, right? I'm looking at these instructions. It very clearly says... Oh, wait, maybe I'm picking the wrong one. Aha. Never mind. Instructions are just fine. I'm just dumb. I feel like, do you guys ever do that when you're looking at instructions? You're like, this thing just doesn't make any sense. And then after a while, you figure it out. And you're like, no, it makes perfect sense. Let's see. I need something light to contrast the dark. Okay, so you have dark skin, so you're looking for something that's bright to contrast them. Okay, that kind of helps. I do think that your crystal idea is super solid. If you do want to do like the brighter stuff, like the tinting metals can be bright. I mean, you can do lead belcher, shade it down with Bealtan, and then bring the brightness back up with maybe like a, I don't know, what do you call it, Stormhost silver or something like that. So that way, like, it'll have a glistening kind of lightness to it. So those are just ideas, but yeah, your crystal one is awesome. I dig it. Let's see here. Redbeard is rebasing his Fire Slayers. They're my first AOS army. I'm looking at the paint job. Now, like, erg. I got Black Lava from Vallejo coming today. It's basing material. Have you ever worked with it? No, I have not. That's very interesting. Black Lava. No, you know, my experience with the Vallejo line is positive. I love everything I've gotten. I just tend to don't buy a whole lot of stuff. I have this huge cart full of paints and stuff like that. And it's just kind of whatever Hobby Lobby is carrying. And so, yeah, they don't have the extremely cool model, you know, out there model supplies. But I hear great things. Vallejo's talked about all the time. My favorite product from Vallejo is the matte and gloss varnishes. I love them. Go on smooth, never frost over. They're brush on, but they work. Let's see here. So we're going to throw head plate there. And a back plate here. Oh man, this guy looks sick as heck. I love it. Oopa. That was my bad. Okay. Maybe we should put some glue down. Let's see. Yep, there it goes. Everything just kind of exploded all at once. That was kind of funny. Let's see here. Question: who are you going to use in your Scryer army? Probably an Arch Warlock when I can get one. Actually, I don't think they're sold out. No, they should be. That shouldn't be a problem getting one. Yeah, the model is sick. I don't see a whole lot of reason to take any other thing as a general. I mean, their command traits are not. I mean, I had a very cursory glance, so if there's something I'm missing, you know, forgive me, but the command traits didn't seem so radical that like, you know, taking anything else or taking something besides him would be just detrimental. So probably just, yeah, for him, for glory and style points, and having a model that I think looks super cool. Let's see. Perhaps to stay in metal things, blue-green, like you see on Rust and Copper. Yeah, totally. Yeah, there are ways to achieve the color green in metal. There's just you know, it all comes down to like what kind of effect you want to achieve. Like, you know, the rust and stuff is absolutely a great way to go. My goodness, these things are each on a 60 mil base. This thing is a behemoth. Not, you know, not rules wise, but I love it. Let's see, probably gonna. This is always a hard part, right? When you're trying to figure out how to stand this guy up. Probably something akin to that. So we're gonna put the. Oh, that's about right. Okay. Redbeard had asked if you decided to fully jump into Skaven. Yes, I have. And the reason is because they're going to be my travel army. When I go to events, like I'm planning to go to Nova this year, I'm going to bring the Skaven. I just can't, I can't bring the Beast of Chaos. Honestly, and I don't want to. There's so many models that games are daunting. The last several games I've played with them, I have just been tired at the end of it from moving that many models. And, you know, like I had... Joel on, who was an incredibly cool and great Beast of Chaos player, and I was just looking at his list, and I'm like, you know, his isn't even like super. He didn't bend towards massive hordes or anything like that, but it's like 120 models on the table. I'm just like, I don't. It's very easy to get burnt out on moving that many dudes. I'm just gonna set this bottle here for it to lean into, so everything can. Here we go. And we'll give him a second to chill. Let's see here. If you don't mind converting, check out the Skitarii 40k models. Great for Clan Scryer. I don't mind. Actually, I have a ton of extra bits from the KO stuff I'm building, and so not so much for these guys. I always build one. If I'm building multiple units of the same thing, I always build one the way the box comes, and then everything else after that I try to do something special with. So these guys are going to be totally as the box intended kind of thing, but then everything else is going to get some flair, right? Flair. Pieces of flair, if you will, from Office Space, where I just kind of add like extra, maybe like steam tanks or like the sky hook, you know, the gun hook weapons, whatever they are. So I like that kind of stuff. Let's see. You went Clan Pestilence almost 1 year ago. Watching you and your watching your, I assume you mean your videos. Now my brother is going Clan Scryer. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much, David. I really do appreciate that. I fully expect Clan Pestilence to be a major player again. Maybe not as a sole army, but you know, certainly like their models will be taken in mass, because I think there are some builds that involve Plague Priests that are going to be awesome. Again, you're not coming here for hard-hitting tournament news. I never sold myself that way. I would never. This isn't what is it? What's his? Oh, the Honest Wargamer. That's what he is. Yeah, he does the really in-depth competitive reviews. And that's not me. Let's see here. And I happen. Looks like I lost the lid to my paint or my glue thing here. That's a real bummer. Everything about the GW stuff is hard. It's easy to break or easy to lose. Let's see. I can't seem to find it. Okay. Well, I guess we're just going to keep on working on stuff until it dries and dies. Alright. So, we might as well put him up to the side and get cranking on the next dude. Any plans to come over to the UK and do a tournament? I think you'd love the rules as written. I think you'd love Raw. Or, of course, there's the Mecha. I don't have any firm plans, but it's something I want to do. You know, I think I want 2019 to be the year where I start accomplishing... Oh, here we go. Here's my paint thing. Just life goals. You know, I spent so much of my life going through college and you just do the grind, and now I'm at a point in my life where I can start, you know, doing the things that I want to do. That's what I've been working hard for. So, yeah, I want to travel. I want to be a Warhammer hero. I want to build a display board. I've never built one of those before. Just do a whole bunch of hobby firsts. I have stuff that I just never had the time or the opportunity or the resources to do. So, yeah, for sure. Let's see here. There are definitely some cheese lists in the new Battle Tome. I agree. I went on a little rant earlier today when I was talking about those content creators you see who make very, very snap judgments regarding battle tomes. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of negativity that was like, some people called the Skaven battle tome half-hearted or a cash grab. It doesn't do the things that Skaven players wanted it to do, and I think those headlines were just negative for the sake of clickbait. You know, and there are people who have honest reviews that are like, you know, I feel like an honest review measures the good and bad, whereas shock value is all about the bad. You can have a bad opinion of the book, and it doesn't mean you're clickbait, right? I'll make that very clear. But and some of the stuff I was seeing, the very snap judgments was about competitive stuff. I'm like, but we don't know, because that's why I asked about the Gloom Spike Gets, is like, when they bring these things together, there's so many possibilities, and like, I just feel like we're not going to know for another month and a half, like, what is really, really good. And then you have that weird effect where like top players will pull out a list and be like, this is what is good about Skaven, and people will play that and it'll get nerfed eventually. And then some nobody, like, you know, mid-tier guy is going to be like, you know what's amazing that I like? He's going to pull some random unit that no one's ever looked at. and that'll be the new hotness. And I don't know. That's just how it happens, you know? It is what it is. So I don't look at that stuff. You just, you know, you're going to find out the effectiveness of the book over time. Yeah. But it's like, even on the onset, like, I just think the quality of shooting, the ability to fight above your weight class, where every unit, you know, many units in this book are okay, and then they also have that ability where it's like, hey, roll a die on like a 3-up or whatever, they become amazing, right? But you always have that risk of hurting yourself, like Skaven do with their stuff blows up. And so like, you have the option, smart players, or you know, competitive folks, I shouldn't say smart, that's inaccurate, but more competitive folks will weigh the pros and cons of doing those kinds of things effectively, which is why they're good competition players, and that's awesome. Let's see, a coworker has gotten me into the hobby, and your lore videos has helped me decide on an army. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for your great work. Flesh Eater Courts is what I've decided on. What a great time to jump into that army too, man. Jeepers, Skaven is horrible. Thank goodness you're awesome, Doug. Oh my goodness. But I don't know. I just want everyone to enjoy themselves. I hate when people write off an army or make people feel bad for their purchases initially. But Freak Shadow 616, going back to your thing, I am so happy for you that you're jumping into Flesh Eater Courts. That is I think going to be a real contender. Didn't it already win a thing? Like it won a thing with the old Battle Tome that no one saw coming, and then I think they're cool. They're going to do cool stuff. That Endless spell is, I don't like calling things auto includes, but my goodness, it is so stinking good. The one where it's the chalice, where if anything dies around it, you get to like refuel your army. I was like, what? Let's just take a faction that does this thing and do more of that thing. I was like, wow, this is cool. Let's see. So I need 3 and 4. Okay, 4. He has a robot foot. That's cool. I'll get out. Digital Keegan, I'm curious. Are you a Skaven player? Are you building something else? I think people were hoping for more flexible battle tome options, like what was in Gloomspite. That's fair. Totally fair. You know, and part of it too is like many people who are grabbing this book have collections that are already established. Like, you know, they're playing fantasy battles, that kind of stuff. And so like they already have the tools to make the exact army of their dream. And then when the book came out, it didn't facilitate those in terms of like battle line choice and that kind of stuff. You know, the meat and potatoes of making an army. And I totally understand disappointment in that regard. Also, they pretty much just confirmed that nothing in Island of Blood is safe because they repackaged the clan rats, but was it one of the mortar teams or something like that didn't make it into the book? Which is a real bummer. They were cool models. Let's see. But I understand. What I will say though is, you know, what it lacks in flexibility, I do think it's interesting the kind of flexibility that they do have. And by that I mean it's one of the first times we've seen the way that they did battle line if internally within a book, as far as like if your dude's a general or master clan and everything else is this, you know, this other keyword, whatever, like fill in the clan keyword. And I was like, it is an interesting way to word things that I don't think we've seen before. Digital Keegan says, normally order stuff, 7F KO. I need Deacons because I like the hobby side. So I just grab stuff that I think looks cool. Well, I think that is the coolest freaking thing. I love it. I have been loving building and painting out the Carriage and Overlords that I've been doing. One of the things, so I'm going on a huge bender this weekend, and I am selling a ton of random projects that I started that, like, you know, as much guff as I give myself and people give me about army swapping, I have a bunch of other things that are just like, I grabbed it because I wanted something else to paint. That kind of little stuff. And I was like, I want to get rid of all this. I want to focus on projects that I'm going to do for my battle reports, since people really enjoyed that, you know, like lean into the things that I'm enjoying making. So anyway, all I have to say, I have a bunch of 40k stuff. I have Primaris Space Marines. I have the bad guys from Blackstone Fortress, whatever. And because I just don't play Kill Team. And if WarCry comes out and it's what we all hope it is, forget it. I'm never touching Kill Team again. It's dead to me. But you know, all those things are going on at the same time. It's like one of my hobby goals was to paint an army to my highest standard, and that was supposed to be the Space Wolf Primaris, because that's why I got him. I got him on a discount. It's great. But then I was talking to Jack last night at our weekly gaming group, and he was like, "But you already have, like, the Carriage and Overlords are already on the track to being my highest quality paint job army." And I was like, that's a really interesting perspective that I didn't consider. I was holding on to all these 40k things, and I was like, I have no intention of painting them. I have no intention of playing the game. Why don't I just meet that goal with something else? And I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. So that's the plan. I was just about to hunt a cave with Kill Team, then WarCry happened, and all that desire went up in smoke. Yeah. You know what my favorite reaction to WarCry was? It was actually Tom Lyons from Warhammer Weekly. And because we were in we don't talk to each other. We're not buddies, but like we were in the same mental boat where he had a bunch of kill team stuff, just like I had terrain and I had a few models and boxes that I hadn't put together. And he's like, once all that came, all those things immediately went into the sales queue, and I was just like, yeah, I mean, totally, absolutely, 110%. Let's see, looks like his right foot is real and his left foot is okay, a robot foot. Let's see, rest in peace with Hawk agents and mailmen of the mortal realms. I love it. Let's see, quest fiend friend says that just still a ton of Skaven. I knew I wasn't get to, especially since I already have 4K points painted. Exactly, yeah. And Shoot from Rerolling 1 said the same thing. He purged a bunch of Stormcast. He's like, what am I gonna do? I already have so many points, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna use them. Like, just go, get out of my face. And it's like, that's hard to argue with. It's a lot. I mean, we all have a ton of stuff. That's weird. I feel like I'm missing a part of this foot. Oh. There's a strange gap. No, that looks about right. Okay, maybe I'm making that up. Other arm goes on over here. Let's see. Meanwhile, I'm going to go have a whole other obsession of WarCry is kill team, and includes even a broader selection of units compared to kill team. Yeah, you know, I mean, we can just chat about WarCry hopes and dreams for a minute, because it is relevant to, you know, us cleaning out hobby collections and stuff like that. There was that rumor thread that came out a while ago on TGA forums where you'll have like a hero type guy. It has commanders built into it. If you're familiar with commanders, the format in Kill Team, you basically have a hero that is super baller. They would cost like 200 points when everyone else has like 10 or 15. And they're awesome, and you can either take a really amazing hero by himself, or if he's kind of a mid-tier, low-tier hero, like a Cryptghast Horror. You know, it's something small, Crypt Ghoul, whatever. Something smaller, you could have other dudes with him because he's cheap enough. Same basic principle applies there, and I'm okay with that. You know what? That'd be kind of cool. Gives you a chance to make a really cool, dynamic hero to bind the story of that team together. Love it. I'll take 5. But I'm trying to think of what armies have I always wanted to paint that I just never wanted to commit to like an entire faction of. And I think about ogre stuff, like doing like full tattoos and stuff like that. Definitely Blight Kings. What else? I don't know. Maybe that's when I'll do my super crazy converted Astral Templars Stormcast army. I might, just for the sake of my own nostalgia, redo a unit of Bone Splitters, just because it was an army that I got rid of that I didn't want to at the time. So that would be a thing. What I'm going to do is get this guy on his base and then return to him in a smidge. Let's see, get some glue on the foot there. Let's see. Busty Boo says 3 Storm Fiends did 13 mortal wounds to my full health Cygor in a match. The Cygor is absolutely useless after that. Yeah, Cygors, their effectiveness goes down rapidly, to say the least. But they get a pass because they're super cool looking models. Sweet. These guys are, man, I love how big they are. So cool looking. Digital Keegan, that's my thinking too. Something I wasn't to paint but didn't want an army for. plus the short games. The dream. Yeah, dude. Short games are incredible. That's the thing. I played. I think I've played maybe 12 games of Kill Team now, and I can tell you, the best part of Kill Team is how many games of Kill Team you can get in a single evening. That is the dominating feature of that game system. It's like, what? We're already done? Want to play 4 more? Okay, like that's it. And it's everything that I like about 40K, which is honestly at this point mostly just the aesthetic. I like the grim, dark, gothic aesthetic. But yeah, playing a full game of 40K, it's just not my jam. So I need 43 and 42 are the heads for this one over here. 43 right there, 42. Okay, here we go. I hope Beastclaw Raiders is included in WarCry if it's AOS Kill Team. But I have a feeling their units are too big. Yeah, I mean, I can't. Obviously, I don't want to say anything and get anyone's hopes up because I have no clue. But, you know, maybe if the rumors are true that they're bringing them into a book with like normal gut busters, kind of with Pestilence, they brought it back into its main faction. You know, that way you could have the feel of that army, but with just a few ogres. But yeah, they're huge. The prospect of having like a Thunder Tusk in a Kill Team level game is just it sounds brutal. Cool. I always like hearing people don't think I'm crazy when I talk about not being enamored with 40K. It just, you know, part of it is, and I'll be honest, I just can't keep up with the game. And by that I mean things change with their FAQs so rapidly, and they put out books so fast, and it's just it's a lot, you know. And then if it's not an FAQ, they just drop something like that bolter rule is just like, hey, BTW, here's the change to like one of the most ubiquitous guns in the entire game. And it's like, what? I don't know. And everyone gets so focused about, or at least on my end, this is all 100% local to me. Very focused on like, well, this is what the ITC does. Like, I don't care. This is what the book says, and I just want to roll some dice and have some fun. Don't gotta bring anyone in California into this. Let's see. I'm doing Astral Templars with human heads. I planned on green stuffing pelts to every model. Did a trial pelt the other day, and it was a huge fail. Man, I fail at pelts constantly, so I'm going to work on that as well. That is my thought for Astral Templars, is a focus on Vanguard stuff. I want to use the Forge World heads because they look gnarly as all get out. I love it. And then, yeah, do a bunch of pelts. I want to get some bits from a Space Wolves kit or something like that. It'd be cool. Digital Keegan, he's the exact same with 40K. Yep, coming to a full army in a game. Yeah, it's just it's not my thing. Confu22 says there's speculation that Kill Team is sort of a laboratory for future 40K rules changes. Yeah, no, you know, and the thing is all of their design departments are labs for each other. You'll see it will. So Warhammer Fantasy Battles was first, and then you'll see things happen in Fantasy Battles that got translated to 40K. Back and forth, and then they made AOS, and then learned hardcore from some life lessons from Hard Knocks school from AOS launch, and turned 40K launch into a huge success. But the two systems are not vastly different, and they just kind of pass ideas back and forth, right? 40K has CP, all of a sudden AOS has CP. The two things work very differently. I think AOS's system is much better and much more fun, and I think eventually I would not doubt that would bounce back to 40K. But the command points thing, the way they operate in the two different games, I think are night and day different. Let's see here. We need to make a creepy little mouse baby to put on this guy's back. Let's do that. That is not a sentence that you hear very often. Okay. So we are looking for... we got a bold creeper mouse baby, 9 and 10. Here's 9. I wish the systems were exactly the same so I wouldn't get rules confused about the two. You know, part of me, I appreciate the fact that they're different because I want them to feel different. I do. But I understand exactly what you mean at the same time. 100%. Yeah, I want them to feel different because for whatever reason, I think there's a misconception that complicated equals deeper when it comes to game mechanics. And I think when the new or current edition of 40K was being announced, there were a lot of people who were scared they were going to, like, I don't know, make it a dumber game. I don't quite understand what they were thinking AOS was. We have a competitive scene too, but yeah, I don't know. Let's see here. Pop Burnsy says it would be nice to see a proper Dark Oath release. Yeah, dude. That I'm so pumped for that. It's one of those things. I'm trying very hard not to get my expectations up or my hopes up with Dark Oath stuff. You know, I have a bunch of Slaves to Darkness that I'm like, man, I would love to get some revitalization to this. At the same time, I don't want to be disappointed by it. So I've been keeping my hand very open as far as, like, expectations of like that. So if they came out and they were like, hey, Slaves to Darkness isn't a part of this army, it's its own thing, would I be okay with that? Because that would invalidate the point of my entire Slaves to Darkness collection. I want to do Chaos Undivided. And you know what? Like, it took me a bit, because Jack pointed that out, and I was like, you know what? That's a solid point. I should probably think about that, if that's a possibility. And I'm like, if they came out and said that, or, that was just clearly what was going on, I would just sell all my Slaves to Darkness stuff and get what I wanted. And I decided I am okay with that. I'm like putting this creepy little dude's chest in here. It's so gross. I love it. Okay. Let's see. I prefer the AOS rule set. There's a lot of strategy. Deep thinking you can't do with service. Yep. I definitely would agree with that. I also prefer the AOS rule set immensely. I find it to be easier to explain, more difficult to master, and just a whole lot of fun along that journey. Have you guys ever played Vermintide? I don't know. I had it on the channel once, and I'm going to do one eventually. But seeing the little creepy rat thing in motion when it's like, glued to the guy's back and he's spinning around like a madman, it is the coolest thing. It's gross, but it's cool. Nurgle players will understand. 44 right here. The lore behind these guys. I remember, so I got into the game pretty soon, right before, a couple months before End Time started. And I remember when these models came out, learning about, so if you don't know, what a Stormfiend is, it's a rat ogre, right? Which, rat ogres are autonomous, they don't have creepy babies on their back. But they made it so full of gun that it, like, struggled to operate itself. Like, they just couldn't, it wasn't smart enough to learn how to, like, exist. I don't know how else to word that. And, so they bred the rat ogre to carry all the guns, and then they were like, it needs a brain, and so they bred a second animal, which is just a brain bug, and then fused the two together. So the brain bug is actually controlling the rat ogre, and I just think it's the coolest thing. It's so disgusting. I guess you could leave the gross bug off the back if you didn't like the baby. But I think it just kind of adds to the madman feel of the army, and I have a soft spot for Clan Molder with, like, the weird flesh crafting and that kind of stuff. Oh, it's just so gross. That was actually the first time people were, like, worried that they are going to bring the clans together and not have any clans, just have it, get rid of the clans, because it was one of the first times, like, Scryer merged with Molder, because the two monsters had to be bred together, but all the weapons and guns are from Scryer, and they're like, what? So, but it turned out to be, like most panics, it just turned out to be like, no, they just did something cool. Let's see. Okay, this all looks like pretty self-explanatory. They did, you know, I can see why someone earlier said that it's a hard kit to build. There's just a lot of pieces to it, but a lot of these things have these really nice clear notches where stuff goes, and I just really appreciate that. Justicles put in 40 hours with Vermintide. Whoa, that sounds awesome. I do want to play more. It's one of those games that, like, I played it enough to know, like, I am not good at this game. Like, I just reaction time, knowing when to do certain moves, you know, knowing how to get the best at every character. Like, there's just a lot you can do to become really good at that game, and I am not there yet. At the same time, I'm much more interested in terms of spending my time learning to do, learning to be a better general in Total War, which... Oh, Redbeard actually asked about how good is Total War. I'm tempted to get get a whole new PC just to play it. I love it. It is really, really cool. It is, you know, it depends. If you enjoy other Total War games, because they're fundamentally, it's not vastly different. Like, I'll be honest with you. I enjoyed other Total War games, like Rome Total War was my jam for a long time. I like them. You know, where you can pause anytime, you can save, you can back out, you can do whatever, and then, you know, just come back to it, dominate the world one bit at a time. You know, it's cool when you click the play button, like, you know, to end your turn, and then you can see all the other factions doing stuff. I love it. I think it's great. Oh, if you like the other ones, you'll totally love it. What I will tell you is that you will want to buy every single army in Age of Sigmar that made the trip, you know, that came from the old world. And the reason I say that is I had very little interest in Skaven until I started playing them and I saw the Doom Wheel in motion. And I was like, no, this is actually the coolest thing. I loved it. Once I saw that, I was just like, it's a whirling death machine, and it's like unstoppable, and like, oh, it's so cool. So, I mean, my point is just seeing the things that we, you know, the very, like, as cool as these models are, like, there's no motion to them, obviously. They're static models. But when you see how designers and artists breathe life by giving them motion into things, it blows your mind. 70 and 69. Okay, here. It's unreal. I don't know if anyone actually tried this, but back in the day, I did a beta for War Machine Tactics, their tactics version, digital-based version of War Machine and Hordes. And that was another one where it's like, I didn't care for the game that much, but I did really love seeing models and things like that brought to life. I was like, there's value in that for sure. All right. Now that I'm looking at these, I've seen Shu's Rat Ogres. I don't know that I've seen his Storm Fiends. Because, I don't remember seeing models this big. How good of a PC do you need to run Total War? I am not a techie, I'm gonna be honest with you. So I don't know about like the deep specs and that kind of stuff. I just tend to go to a website called Will It Run and check. I don't know. I don't actually know what the system requirements are. Basically, it was right before the snowpocalypse hit Seattle. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be trapped in my house for 2 days, might as well like try something new. And so I went out right as the snow was starting to come down and ran to Best Buy. And I was like, give me your graphics card. And bought one right there. And I was like, yes. I know I could have got it cheaper elsewhere, but no one else was going to ship to me and that kind of stuff. Let's see here. Beta, good morning from Denmark. Hello, hello. Let's see. Looks like the little tubes go here. Here. But you know, if you have a computer that can work it, I do recommend it. I glued the wrong spot. Here we go. Man, that's cool. Okay. I can run a mixture of high and medium graphics really well with a 1050 Ti. That's sweet. Reading week right now. Painting up some Necrons. Kill team, super easy. Hope WarCry has easy to paint factions. Yeah, dude. I mean, trying to think. That's actually a good point. I hadn't thought about as easy to paint factions for WarCry. What are some of the... so, Bone Splitters would be an easy to paint one because you just do a lot of the green, right? Stormcast. Some variations of Khorne are just largely metal, and they just kind of go in and do the trim. No, which is not a lot of work. It's time, but it's not a difficult like scheme. And what else? Yeah. That's a great point. Just having easy to paint models. And Stormcast are definitely an easy choice for that. And you know they're going to be there. Let's see. Kevin Potter, hi Doug. Just started a small Skaven army myself, and the Doom Wheel is the best. As a Chaos fan, the Blood God might not be happy. That's funny. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited. Pretty excited about that stuff. The Doom Wheel is just a cool looking piece. Let's see. Okay. You know what? Like, I always worry the first time I build a model kit. You know, one of the first unit I build of something is typically pretty derpy, because like, you know, I don't line everything up quite right. But this is coming together really well, and I know that by saying that out loud, I'm going to now screw something up. But here we go. It's coming. It's coming. Skaven feel 100% destruction, not chaos, right? You know, I think Beasts of Chaos feel more destruction-y than Skaven do. Skaven feel chaos. Yeah, I'll give you that one. I just feel like if we're talking about a faction being in the wrong Grand Alliance, I do think Beasts of Chaos win that trophy. When the battle tome itself struggles to articulate how come they're not part of destruction. Like, I just want to see Havoc and lay low civilization. Okay, let's go hang out the Iron Jaws. But then they're like, well, they also worship like the warping power of chaos and undivided. And I was like, oh, okay. It kind of works, but you know, it took longer to explain why they're not part of it than why they are. This is an awkward joint here. Okay. I'm a fan of Death lore and model-wise. Yeah. Death has some great models, man. My favorite Death models are probably the Morghast Archai. Just think they look extra slick. They are brutal to paint, though. I just found that they took forever. All right. Let's get this one piece nudged in quite right. Looking good. Kevin Potter, if you had a question, it did not go all the way through, so go ahead and do that again. It says, hey Doug, on, and I assume you just hit enter by accident. Happens all the time. I'm trying to think, yeah. Favorite destruction model? I love the brutes. The brutes in Iron Jaws are amazing. Okay, so it seems like this is the point where things matter when it comes to choices, okay? So I got Shock Gauntlets, or I got Doomflayer Gauntlets, I think are the two options for this particular beefcake. Let's see here. Doomflayer Gauntlets or Shock Gauntlets. Yeah. So let's see. Doomflayer Gauntlets are 2d3 attacks. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Was like an average of 4. 3 up, 3 up, -2 d3 damage. That's pretty tasty. Shock Gauntlets, 4 attacks flat. 4 up, 3 up, -1, 2 damage. So Doomflayer Gauntlets seem better in every way, except for Shock Gauntlets. Unmodified hit roll of attack made. Shock Gauntlets 6. Attack flicks d6 hits on the target instead of 1. Exploding 6s. Let's see. That's a tough one. The question is, how good do I think I am at rolling 6s, or how lucky do I feel when I roll 2d3 attacks? That's a tough one. Okay, tell you what. In the chat, tell me, am I doing Shock Gauntlets or Doomflayer Gauntlets? You're going to help me build this, because the patrons help me pick the army. Whoever's in the chat right now is helping me build it. So, Doomflayer or Shock Gauntlets? I can roll those real quick, and then I'm going to answer your question in the chat. Doomflayer Gauntlets are 2d3 attacks each, so that's the number of attacks. 3s to hit, 3s to wound, -2 rend, and d3 damage. That is the tastiest profile ever. Whereas the Shock Gauntlets are 4 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, -1, 2 damage. So it's a little bit flatter when it comes to the hit roll and the rend, but 6s to hit turn into d6 hits, kind of like Nurgle units. So y'all think about that. Let's see here. Digital Keegan, do people you play with require you to have WYSIWYG? So what you see is what you get, for people who don't know. Or can you just build whatever you want? Think looks cool, and just declare the options. No one has ever put a requirement on me. I love what you see is what you get. It's as a personal thing. I mean, we've played games where I proxy stuff, so I have like 30 Chaos Warriors that I'll have double hand weapons because I bought them used that way. And I've tried, like, hey, do you mind if I just try shields before I go buy more guys who have shields? Like, and everyone's been cool with that. I just I tend to not really care. So yeah, I don't know. I think for like the battle reports over Nilling ones, to make things very clear for people watching, they always try to do what you see is what you get. But yeah. Let's see, magnetize them for both. Yeah, I don't want to bust out my Dremel when I'm trying to record. But I have more Storm Teams coming. I don't know. The highest risk. You're officially a Skaven player now. You got to explore yourself so often. Let's see. Okay. Well, do I have a dice near me? Tell you what, let's do it. All right. So I got a die here. It was given me by one of my patrons, Mr. I'm just going to call him Michael because I don't want to give away his last name. And I believe the store is called Dark Tower Games up in, not Bellevue. What's the town I'm thinking of? Up in Northern Washington. Bellingham. There we go. So here's what we're going to do. 1 through 3 is the Doomflayer. 4 through 6 is the Shock Gauntlet. Does that sound fair to everyone? So 1 through 3 is Doomflayer. 5. So we're going with a Shock Gauntlet. Shock Gauntlet. So that is, to reiterate, 4 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, -1 rend, 2 damage each. Is still a tasty damage profile. And on hits of a d6, they explode. And, you know, I never even thought to actually look what they look like, which does matter to me. So let me just double check real quick. What's the shock gauntlet? Oh, the shock gauntlet looks so much cooler. Okay, yeah, we're going with that. Boom. True Skaven Lord coming up. I love it. Okay. Yeah, let's just do that. Put this off to the side so I don't get glue on it. And there's like a bajillion little bits on this thing, man. Holy smokes. Okay. Let's get the gauntlets on there and then we'll build all the little little bits of crap. So we have 99.55. 99.55, okay. Yeah, I do like the randomness of everything. I do appreciate that. A little interested, so oh, that's 66, not 99. Okay, this is the worst part. Where like these are now the tiniest little parts, all the little like accent junk that goes around him. That is just everywhere for no reason. Because I just couldn't keep it together like near other things that are relevant on the sprue. For piece number 99. Okay. Here's one. Okay. Rule of cool. Yeah, I try to do rule of cool. That's you know how you have the fewest regrets when you start building this stuff. You know, my first priority is like making sure stuff is legal because I don't want to have to change what I own to go like to an event or something like that. So make sure it's legal. I don't have too many special weapons in a unit or whatever. And then beyond that, you know, if there's a dramatic difference in effectiveness from one thing to another, like to the point where the unit doesn't function the way it's supposed to, that's when I'll be like, hey, do you mind if I try something else? But typically I'll just play as whatever it is. Let's see, there was a 99 there. I need one more 99. They're really making me work for this one. I really hope no one is just joining us now and be like, why are we watching this guy stare at a sprue for half an hour? I think about these kinds of things. Okay. Maybe it's on this one. Yep, there it is. Cool. Doug, I recently realized you had a wifey, but do you have a kiddo? No, I don't have a kiddo. Nope. No kids. Nope. No, we just, you know, we're kind of in our little adventure phase right now. We just got a job. My wife's name is Jess. I got a job just outside of college, and so we moved from Iowa, which is where she's born and raised. I'm more from Texas, and moved out here for a little adventure before we settled down. So that's kind of where we're at. 57 goes on this side. Not opposed to him, but no. We still love we're just, you know, we love the fact of like just chilling on a Friday night and be like, you want to go to like to a brewery? Yeah, okay. And we just leave, right? No childcare, nothing like that. Just love it. Let's see here. These are getting to be the fiddliest pieces. Texas is where you're from? Yeah, dude. I'm from the wonderful place. Well, wonderful is in a ironic air quotes, but San Antonio. where I went to high school and like that. It is, you know, what a wonderful tourist destination. That's about it. What is your work, Doug? I'm a social worker for my sins. I heard you say something about working with kids. No, I don't work with kids. I do sometimes volunteer with youth, like through our church, but no, I don't work with kids. What I do for a living is I work for a technology firm that works with the state of Washington to hook old people up with basically life alert buttons. We have our own design of life alert button. It's not a life alert. It's a different kind of device, but it does the same purpose, right? The I fall and I can't get up type thing. So, yeah, we help folks who are Medicaid, Medicare patients who can't afford a life alert get hooked up with something that really helps them, and I program them out, set up the GPS, and then ship them out to people and help them if it breaks. So it's like it's a medical technology firm, but it's not a sexy kind of medical technology. Like I make IV machines and I don't know. You know what I mean? Like the really cool, like cutting edge tech. There's nothing like that, but it does help people. I feel good about it. And my boss is incredible, so I like it. I'm not a techie, but I work at an IT company. Yeah, isn't that the worst? So Jess, my wife, she got a job at an online publishing firm. She's a writer. Basically, she gets paid to write terrible clickbait stuff, but not for the wargaming industry, but for quilting and crocheting and knitting, because that whole subculture also has its clickbait. There is a spiky bits of crochet and yarn. So just kind of think about that in the back of your head. But people who use moral outrage and clickbait titles and art to get ad revenue from clicks and stuff like that. But anyway, she does that for a living. She's a writer with them, and we joke that she works for the internet, and so her family like just doesn't understand that, like, no, she can't help your IT problem. She doesn't like literally like work on the internet. She just writes an article for WordPress and uploads it. Like, but explaining that to, like, you know, an 80-year-old woman in Iowa, it just not going to happen. You work for the internet? Yes, I do. Let's see here. Alright, so I got this, and then a big old fang looking thing comes out of this somewhere. It's kind of unclear about where this thing actually comes out of. Okay. Painting carriage on, says Brent. Yeah, so this is Brent from Rerolling Ones, and he sent me over a, I don't know, advanced look at his KO. And I'm so sorry, Brent, I didn't respond to you. I was driving when you sent me that picture, and I'm terrible about remembering things when I'll look at it and be like, not life urgent, and I'd ignore it, and then I'll just never get back to it because I'm the worst. But yeah, they're looking dope, dude. Yeah, I see how this comes together now. Sort of. Let's see here. Don't worry, I'm the same. I lead missions and filmmaking studio here in Thailand. I'm always the tech guy for the family. Have you turned it on and off? Yeah, dude. It's a tough burden to bear. being the designated millennial of any family. Even if you're not, you know, that kind of designated person who's like, you understand this stuff. And you're like, you can too. Okay. Strange. It seems like the end of this piece is just longer than it should be. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay. I'm still hoping for Fire Slayer's Battle Tome this year. They're on the cover, art from the LVO release, so I'm hopeful. Yeah, that'd be cool. I don't know if that was necessarily meant to be like, this is the exact factions coming out, but I sure hope it is. Because everything they listed there is books that were like, with the exception of Stormcast, everyone's just, the universe is like, yes, please. Please acknowledge that ogres exist. Yes, please. Or outside of beast claw raiders, I should say. This part just doesn't look right. Oh, this is the... Okay, now I'm getting... This is the part where I'm losing me. Okay, so got that. Sorry for the silence abruptly. I'm just struggling to understand how these pieces go in without it looking super derpy. This is what I always do. I always go to the James Workshop page and pull up the model and do the 360 spin. I'm like, this can't look this wrong. Someone asking you magnetize storm fiends? Yes, you can, but if I can't figure out how to get them built the normal way, I'm sure as heck not going to have a whole lot of chance magnetizing them. Okay. Storm fiends, here we go. The 360 view on these has been one of the most helpful things ever. Okay. Right. Just gonna keep an eye on the chat here while I'm gluing this down. Okay, I guess it doesn't look that wrong from what it does in the picture. It just doesn't feel right. Let's see. Halfway through reading The Black Pyramid. It's decent, but I'm desperate to finish. Move on to Hangout. That covers influenced me to buy a whole Stormcast Recon Army. Yeah, dude. Well, you know what? I might be forced to build the other weapon option just because this is just not going in right. Just doesn't look the way it does in the pictures. So what I'm ending up with is this huge gap that should not exist. Well, unfortunately, I give up. I'm done with this. These claw weapons, the gauntlet, I don't understand it. And the glue is drying by the minute here. It's typically why I don't build on streams, because I can't quite focus on everything at once. Brat, the intro on Rerolling One's one of the funniest things ever. Yeah, Mark called me about that last night. Like, he was just scrambling to put the battle report together and was like, dude, can you do this for me? I think it would be really funny. I was like, oh yeah. So I had Jess grab the camera or grab my phone and record me doing it. I thought that was pretty funny. It seemed like a good touch. Stephen Chan, thoughts on the upcoming AOS RPG? Are you interested in it? Well, I don't really play RPGs all that much, but I'm interested in the sense of like its lore and world building and that kind of stuff. Like, that definitely intrigues me for sure. Let's see. Yeah, there is an upcoming RPG for AOS. It's looking pretty cool. I mean, they just showed some art. That's all we really know about it. But yeah, no, I have no idea what's going on there. I'll build the next one that way. Okay, we'll go to the next guy then. So that one's just the spike balls. As far as my thoughts on it, you know, Mark from Rerolling Ones has run RPG things before, and he's offered like, hey, if you guys are into it, like, I would love to run a thing. And I was like, you know, I'm into it. Like, again, more into the lore and the background building, because, you know, fundamentally, I think the question that I think I have and a lot of people have is, we read these really abstract, cool, large fantasy things, but what is the average person or adventure like? What is their life like, you know? Also, I think it would help to kind of flesh out some of the world in terms of like, let's pick a location and really dive into it. I think that would be very, very helpful for so many people, myself included, to just have a really good sense of location on a few places. But yeah, you know, I actually reached out to the company producing it to just be like, hey, you know, my name is Doug, and I do early stuff. I respect NDAs and that kind of thing. Like, if you have an advanced copy, I'd love to review it and build hype and that kind of stuff. And I, you know, didn't get much of a response, but I am excited about it. You know, I'm sure they get pestered about that kind of stuff a lot. Let's see. Start building the next one. let's see. I know one of the things that Shu Early Ones was excited about was the idea of being a Kurnoth hunter. One of the heroes you saw in the picture, they're all fighting off chaos. One of them is a Kurnoth hunter, so he could just like live out his dream of being Groot. Is anyone in the chat? Are you guys super excited about it? I'm very curious. You know, it's one of those things like I just never. I'll give you my little anecdote about RPGs. A couple years ago, I was like, Jess went home to go see her family, and I was like, you know, I hear a lot about this game, like, you know, D&D and Pathfinder and those kinds of things. Like, maybe I'll go try to find it. And there's a local store to us, or actually where I do my game nights for AOS, and I was like, you know, pop in there for their Pathfinder night, see if I can get a game and just kind of experience what it's like, you know. And I got there, and it was a little rough, not gonna lie. Personal hygiene was at an all-time low. Body heat was at an all-time high. And I didn't stay very long. I just didn't want to be in that room, basically. And I asked the guy on the way I was as I was like on my way out, because I like the guys who work there I'm really good friends with. I was like, this is pretty much what it's always like, and he was like, yeah, it is. He's like, but don't be discouraged by it, because the real games of, you know, Pathfinder and D&D, they don't happen at a store, they happen at someone's house, kind of thing. And I was like, okay, well, that's an interesting take, because it's by friends, it's in gaming groups and stuff like that. So I don't know. That was his viewpoint on it. I was like, you know, don't judge it by this, because the best games of D&D are always with your friends, hanging out at someone's house, not going to a store for it. So, yeah. All I have to say, I'm interested in it. But I don't know how much I'll play it. I really have time to meet up with everyone, like friends with that, to actually play games, period. For some reason, his like fists, like the actual wrist things, just weren't. They still look like huge gaps right there. I don't know. I don't like it. It looks better. But I don't care for the way they snap in there. Yeah, even in the picture they still have it. It's just big old gaps where like his wrist meets the wrecking ball. I don't know. Okay, so moving on from that, we have the weird spinny blade thing on the top of his head, which is 67 right there. 68. Let's see. So I don't know how you guys do it, but whenever I'm taking a whole bunch of stuff off the sprue, I tend to map it out. So like this contraption right here is 61 in the dead center, and then I'll kind of build all the pieces out from there on the side. So we got 60. Ooh, that's a hard one to get out. Kevin Potter, what's your take on the new upcoming Khorne releases, spells, etc.? I don't think there's spells. I think giving physical form to just in-game effects is kind of the direction going forward. I think it's really cool. I don't know if it's going to be prayer-based or if it's going to be just like blood tithe based, right? You spend blood tithe points and you bring these things in. As far as my thoughts on Khorne getting a book, wasn't expecting it. Some people are kind of cranky that some other factions are still waiting on a book and Khorne gets their third or whatever. Well, I understand those and totally respect it. I also I come at it from the perspective that I think they have a very long to-do list and they might as well start there. Not where I would have started, but they might as well. As far as what I'd like to see from the book, my number one thing with a new Khorne battle tome, and it's the thing that I wanted in the last battle tome and didn't get, make the blood secretor less important and make everything else a little better. By that I mean I'm so tired of that one model that doesn't have an alternate sculpt, it doesn't have a multi-kit, being the dominating feature of that army, that everything seems to be balanced around it. I don't like it. That's kind of my hot take. I want just a more interesting setup, you know. I'm curious how they're going to roll out the new blood type table in terms of like they have so many things to cram in that blood type table. Right now there's two charts, right? You have your one in your battle tome and the one in the GHB or whatever. And like it's a lot of information. I wonder how they're going to balance it all out. So I'm very curious about that. As far as other stuff than that, those are the big ones, honestly. Let's see. Pricked myself. As far as like abilities and effects and things like that, I don't know. Brent says, agreed, the ultimate champion of Khorne shouldn't be a dude waving a flag. Yeah, it should be the warlord in the thick of it, right up in the front. Yeah, I think he'd be cool. Like there can be cool banners that, or it just drastically cut his range, and then make everything else better as a response to it. I don't know. There's cool things to do. I just or just split his effects up across multiple units so that you can get the same effect if like there's a bunch of things working together. But yeah, I like that. I like Skull Reapers. I want to see them more often. I just don't. I mean, I'm sure they're good nationally. I'm sure there's one guy who's like rocking the tournament scene in Pennsylvania with all Skull Reaper army, because that kind of crap exists. And it's like, but I just don't see them very often. I see Wrathmongers a whole lot more instead. What else? Yeah, no. Trying to think. I'm just trying to think of the last few games I played with Khorne and what I thought was like lacking. Not a lot. Honestly, I think just some internal balance things for sure. Like I talked about that. Like I would consider the Bloodstoker a internal balance thing, where they decided to balance the faction around that one dude. Let's see. Let's see. Redbeard says, "What's Stormfiend's War Scroll like, the abilities wise?" Well, they have a lot of weapon options. They have 6 wounds each because they're basically rat ogres. They're just made of gun. We will walk through here in a second. Once stuff has to dry, I can do that for you. It is taking a significantly longer time than I thought it would be to build all this stuff. I was like, oh yeah, it's only 3 miles. I'll sit down. And then it was like, there's just always more pieces. There's always more little blade spinners. Who needs this many blade spinners? I love it. I love it's the superfluous blades that make it a very Skaven thing. Let's see here. 61 is the last piece we need. Oh, 65. Okay. I think for another unit I might actually leave some of these parts off. There's just a bunch of little things I'm like, I don't need them all. What I need to get is a set of tweezers that are like just for hobby, getting these little tiny pieces up in there. It's probably why they don't suggest you put the base on it when you're still building it. And then we have other blade? Where does this blade go? Right there. Got some stuck in here. I'm curious what everyone else thinks. There's a lot of pushback regarding the not endless spells. I don't know. I think it's cool. If you ever listen to the podcast Legends of the Painty Men, it is very funny, very, very not safe for work. They just make a lot of psycho jokes and cuss a lot. But the reason I say that is because they made a joke that, like, oh, so there's a spell effect in the game that we can't monetize on, there's no model for. Like, we got to change this. And so the in-game effects now have models. I think it's funny. I think it's good with laugh. But yeah, no, I think it's pretty much what's going on in terms of you know, I'm cool with that. I don't necessarily want everything to have like an in-game model. Like every prayer has to have a thing, you know, whatever. But for the most part, I think they've done a pretty cool job of making them really nice. Let's see here. Built my own guys called the Lord of Slaughter, and with warp shields, in part from Varangard and Chaos Knights. They rock. Oh, that's awesome. Love it. 63. Ah. So we have 63, 66, 64. Okay, actually, let's do these real quick. Yeah, man, that Varangard kit is an incredible source of bits for all kinds of conversions. You know, talking about what we want from the future, man, I want them to bring Everchosen into Slaves to Darkness along with Dark Oath. That's what Doug wants. Just make it one faction, all undivided. You can really flesh out the lore on all of them to like make them different and give them motivations for never working together. And just say that this is just a loose coordination of barbarians and chaos followers and people who hate Sigmar, and it could be a very wide spectrum of motivations. But Varangard are sad right now in terms of just like model counts and being able to build an army. So need 64 and 65. Okay. I love they number stuff now. I know they need to never go back to a point in time where they don't. I was building some of the well, I shouldn't say this. I attempted to build the what's it called? The terrain piece with the big dome you guy can stand inside. I can't think of the name of it right now. I'm not going to go look it up because I don't care that much. But it's terrible. It is the worst. It is actually awful. Don't buy. Very few products do I ever say like just straight up avoid like the plague. But yeah, it's terrain piece because they didn't number anything. You're trying to go by pictures and they're bad pictures. Plastic doesn't feel like GW plastic. It feels like they outsourced it, and it just is terrible. Let's see here. Numinous Oculum, thank you. That's what it was. Because you said you hated it. I gave up. It's half built, and I honestly put it in the trash. It was destroyed by glue not fitting, and then parts of it snapped and they couldn't rejoin together. It was just bad. Let's see. Varangard look awesome, but $100 US for 3. Yeah. Yep, I did hear the podcast where they said that when they give them to the creative team, there's no instructions because they haven't written the manual yet. They haven't gone to a technical artist or whatever it's called to have that done, and it's true, and it's brutal. I can't imagine that having to figure that out on the fly. No, thank you. Oh man. Let's see here. So I got one done. Hopefully the other ones, their arms come together easy. That was really disappointing that it looks like his wrists just don't work, but they do. I don't know. What podcast? Well, we were talking about the Stormcast official Age of Sigmar podcast that GW puts out. Gabriel asks, what's made me want to have Skaven now? Well, I want them because I want to do Clan Scryer to make them very easy to transport. I am planning to go to Nova this year, and I want a faction that is easy to take with me, do carry on like a backpack style through airport security and that kind of stuff. And so just having a low model count army, these guys are big and beefy, but there's going to be very few of them, and taking them with me across the country. Whereas 120 beastmen to 200 beastmen is not so great for that. So let's see here. Where am I at? How many steps are in the next one? Because I might actually give it a break for the night. Let's see. Rally guns. I got this guy has less armor on him. That helps. All right, my friends. I think I'm going to sign off here. We got one done. He is big. I love it. I love it so much. I'm going to, because I am planning on traveling with him, I'm going to put some serious work into this guy in terms of painting. I haven't decided on a scheme yet. So I'm going to do, I just love pale skin. I just really do. And I don't want to do that for everything. I know I just did the pale skin stuff for the Beast of Chaos. So I might force myself to go with more traditional Skaven colors. But for the skin anyway. And then for the actual armor and stuff, I don't know what I want to do. I've thought about, I'm going to look at the battle tome. I have a few paint suggestions here. Let's take a look. My eyes need a break from looking intensely at models, so let's see here. Where do we get to? Albino rats in red armor. That'd be kind of sick looking. Colors of Ruin. Okay. Am I going to go Master Clan for General? I have no idea. I haven't even got that far yet. I just got some Scryer stuff from Carrion Empire. Usually there's like a section with like a whole bunch of color schemes, right? Yeah, this is painting tutorials. Nope. Okay, they didn't go so hard on the paint one this time. Let's take a look. Oh, here's what I'm talking about. So there's a few different things where it's like clan rat hired by, and then it gives like a fake clan name, so you can kind of like get some other ideas for schemes. So Clan Fang. Okay, so Clan Skark has red armor. That's cool. That goes with what we were talking about earlier. Actually, this Storm Vermin right here, I'm sure you can't see on the camera with the way it zooms in, but he's pretty pale and does have red armor, so that's kind of cool. Hired by Clan Molder over here, which has kind of like more of a khaki drag, stuff like that. It's cool looking. Got a highly rusted and stuff like that. Two that look very similar there. What else? White, which I already did white for the Sleeps of Darkness. I'm gonna pass on that one. I don't know. Copper is also a super cool color. It's kind of a coppery right here in the bottom right. Not quite sure. Albino rats. But an entire army of albino rats? I wouldn't argue for like my leader guy. I think that would be really cool, have an albino leader. Make him very different. But an entire army, I'm not sure. Let's see. So the Clan Fang one literally has the color of the Fang. I'm sure that's why they called it that. Which I do have a can of. It would probably take to these guys super well. Which is sort of like the basic color scheme for them. Is like the Fang type color. Let's see, I think there's a color here. Yeah, this kind of thing that Thankful has. I don't know why that was so hard to remember. I'm very tired. That kind of blue, the Fang blue. Yeah, I'm thinking that one. I like that. I just want them to look good. The last few times I did armies, I tried making my own color scheme. And then this very, very last one, I did KO, and I took one of the schemes from the book, and I'm just like, I love this. Why am I busting my mind trying to come up with be so like a special snowflake? I can just do what they present to you, and I just love it. So I might just go with the studio scheme with a few minor tweaks to make it a little more fun for me. So, okay. Tell me your thoughts, friends, about cool color schemes. I am going to have some albino rats. I'm not sure if the entire army is going to be albino, but yeah, let's see. Oh, they have the cool albino fur here. Pallid witchfish. It's cool. Looks cool. I dig it. Alright. I'm thinking a Shadow Master, Vermin Lord, Deceiver for my general. Can't be targeted outside of 6 inches. That's cool. I played Clan Scryer last night. They seemed like they suffered a little bit with their battalions. I kind of explored it a little bit earlier today. It's interesting for sure. I think it's going to take some time to really develop this Clan Scryer battle battalion thing. It's very unique. It's the first battalion of its kind where you have a main battalion and there's sub ones in there you have to use. I'm not mega convinced on it, but at the worst case scenario, honestly, if you want to have like a 99% Clan Scryer army, you just take 3 10-man squads of storm vermin, and you can do whatever you want. You can add literally whatever models you want in any combination. So it's like, do whatever you want. That's not a heavy tax. It's expensive point wise, but I mean in terms of like keeping the model count low and stuff like that, it's not a bad deal. So let's see. Hey Doug, just got the Slaves to Darkness Battle Force as a gift, but I am not sure what Chaos faction to side with or to go undivided. Do you have any ideas as a fellow Chaos player? Yeah, sure. So going undivided is probably the weakest choice right now. In terms of competitive play, it's whatever you want. It's what I like the most. I'm gonna be honest. Set that as a realism. I'm not a competitive guy. Love the undivided stuff the most thematically, but in terms of which direction to go, look at the different battle tomes and just I would say like get a general sense online before you dedicate something, and just get a sense of what you like. So Maggotkin is great right now, and they love the beefy units that come in that battle force. In addition to that, Khorne is great because as you're dying, you're getting new abilities. Slash is in a weird place right now, just because they don't have a battle tome and the rules are cool, but they're not as fully fleshed out as the others. And Tzeentch, I loved playing Tzeentch with all mortal stuff. I loved it. It was great. Basically, you can use Destiny dice to auto do a 12-inch charge, and there's nothing like it when you can trap your opponent on the other side of the board. I love it. Other than that, yeah, I would say look at the, go to like, just type in Maggotkin tactics, and I think it's like a 1d4 chain page, and just do the same thing for all 4 of the Chaos Gods, and just get a sense of what it's like. Remember, you don't have to commit. That's kind of the glory of Slaves to Darkness, is that if you truly can't choose something like me, just paint them in a generic scheme that works for anything. My guys are black armor or the white cape, so they kind of fit in everywhere. And just have fun with it. I'd say like don't feel pressure to commit to one thing before you start building and collecting and stuff like that. What's cool about Slaves to Darkness is you could build like 1,000 points of Slaves to Darkness, and then buy like 500 points of Maggotkin or 500 points of Slaanesh stuff, and and then for each game you could play a 1,500 point game of Maggotkin, whereas everything has a Merc and Nurgle, and then you are Maggotkin, and you can just kind of build the god specific stuff in little chunks and then diversify from there. So yeah. Sylvaneth have battalions inside battalions. Winterleaf is one of them. Winterleaf. So help me understand more, because I haven't actually looked at the battalions. Sylvaneth book I haven't touched that in forever. Is it so? There is a battalion of battalions, like a mega one. What makes the I guess my question is, can you take the battalions that are inside Winterleaf or whatever the bigger one is, can you take them separately? So the thing is unique about the Scryer ones is it's a battalion, and there's little sub ones in there that all have their one podcast, but you can't take those separately. They can't be their own thing. You have to take at least 2 of them to be a part of this bigger thing, and that could be an army. So I'm curious. I think I have it on my phone, which is dead right now, so never mind. Can't look at it, but yeah, I'm interested about that. It's too many points for not getting extra command points for engine covens. That's fair. It's a fair criticism. The warp lightning cannons are scary but swingy. Storm fiends are one of the best parts. Warp seer is great for shout out for a general. I'm excited. Just having built one of these guys, I'm looking at this like this is exactly what I wanted. I just wanted a few really huge models, and this is exciting for me. So yeah, I got to come up with a basing scheme. I have to come up with a paint scheme, obviously. Maybe I will go red. You know what? I might go red. I painted Blood Angels a long time ago, and I loved painting the red armor, and I have all the paints for it still. And I just work on a lot of weathering and chipping effects on the edges. I think that might be a thing. The skin, I don't think I'm going to go albino on every one of them. Certainly the leader I will. But I think I might go with the book scheme on skin down here on the left. But red armor would sound pretty cool. I can give it like a stripe, like a white stripe. He's a racing scryer murder machine. Actually, so I'm looking at the color pattern here. If I just invert them and have like a blue tabard on, like a blue, like the Fang color tabard on the fiery red Storm Fiend, that might look really cool. Scryer Battalion Indie Covens used to be amazing. The whole army would just pop up and mortal wounds everyone off the table if they weren't careful. I had no idea. Let's see, the Squiglanch and Gloomspite requires you to have a Squig Rider Stampede. Let me see if I actually have. Okay, let's take a look. So let me see. So there's a difference in what I'm trying to articulate and failing at terribly. So let me just see. Get all this stuff out of my way so I can have some real estate. So I'm going to take your example here, Steven, and we're going to take a look at that Squigapalooza thing. So there are such things in almost every book as a battalion of battalions. But they work fundamentally different from what I'm thinking of. Okay, so the Squiglanch requires you to take Squig Rider Stampede. 1 plus Squig Rider Stampede. And that is a battalion. You are correct. What I'm saying, though, is that you can take the Squig Rider Stampede on its own outside of the Squiglanch. But with the way that the pestilence stuff works, and I'll show you, and I'll try to hold it up to the camera so you can take a look. Where's it at? Right here at the bottom. If you look here, this is a big old section with engine covens. Can only be taken as part of a Warp Cog convocation. So Warp Cog convocation is the battalion, but within there are these new things that they call engine covens, and they have to fit inside of it. Cannot be taken outside. So it's interesting. Winterleaf requires 1 Forest Folk Battalion as a base cost, and then you can take anything. Yeah, so that is fundamentally different because you can take the Forest Folk, whatever battalion, outside of that. It can be its own thing, or you could pay more points, get it within the bigger battalion, get another artifact, all kind of stuff like that. But you fundamentally, it's, yeah, I'm sorry, I totally misworded that earlier, not citing the difference very adequately, but because the problem is I keep using the word battalion, but the things in here are specifically not battalions. They are engine covens. and that makes them different. And honestly, the biggest, most important difference, and actually you just pointed it out more when you brought that up. It clicked my brain. So in the scenario for Squiggle Anches and the Winterleaf, right, both of your guys' examples, you're so dead on, is that you get an artifact for bringing the Squiggle Anch, or sorry, for bringing the Squig Rider Stampede, and if you take the bigger one, the Squiggle Anch, you get an additional one because you're buying 2 battalions, right? And so your artifacts stack up really well. You get extra command points, all this jazz. But with this, because all of these things are still under the War Scroll Battalion of the Warp Cog Convocation, you don't actually get new things. You don't get an artifact and a command point for an Engine Coven. So that's a very important distinction where earlier today I was going through, I read through all the different Engine Covens, and I was like trying to piece together like what, at super first glance, without looking at the rest of the book or even a lot of the War Scrolls involved, what ones would I like? And it came out to be, I think, like 320 points. And for that 320 points of battalions, I get a few extra rules, but I only get 1 command point, 1 artifact. So it's an interesting proposition. It's the coolest new way to, like, oh yeah, sorry, Gabriel points out it does actually make your army probably 1 drop because this is 1 single battalion. That is actually a really good point. And it is very relevant because a lot of these things, one of the Warp Engine Covens has to do with alternate deployments. They can like tunnel in more dudes, so that really does matter. Being a 1-drop army functionally is really important. Thank you for pointing that out, Gabriel. But yeah, no, so it's weird. So I can't really call those mini things mini battalions. They're not. They're Engine Covens because there's only 1 battalion. So I apologize to everyone for making that very confusing. But yeah, because there are, even within this book, I think there are battalions of battalions. And that sounds miserable. Like, hold on, let's see if there is one. Oh, no, there's not. I thought there was going to be like the Grand Clan, and there was going to be like, you know, take 2 Warp Covens, take 3 Congregations of Filth, where it's just like every impossible thing that turns into like a 9,000 point game. There's not. But I can't fathom having a battalion above a Warp Cog Convocation, because at that point you're doing a battalion rules inside a battalion with 2 Engine Covens, 2 to 5 Engine Covens within that. It would just be insanity to keep track of all that noise. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the Warp Cog Convocation, it doesn't appeal to me. And what I find interesting is that it just gives more things that they have to balance for doing the same battalion, because each of the Engine Covens has its own point value. It's just a lot more stuff to have to balance. So it's interesting, but it can't all drop at once. So that's interesting stuff. Okay. Anyway, I feel like I rambled on there for a little bit. I apologize. I really do feel bad that I didn't make the clear distinction between battalion of battalions and battalion of not mini battalions. Because this game's not confusing enough. we had to up the ante. Anyway, so I'm going to leave it here tonight, friends. And we got 1 guy built, and I'm excited about that. I am excited to build the Warp Fire Thrower guy, because he looks the most like the one from Skaven, like the thrown straight arm out, and it's like just huge wreaths of flame going off. But yeah, put the camera right here. So thank you all so much for joining me. I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down. Like I said, I will be back on tomorrow morning, probably around 11 or so, for my folks over on the excuse me, in the EU, to be able to see stuff during the day. But I hope you enjoyed this time with me, just hanging out. I apologize for the quiet times where I was just kind of building things out and kind of lost track. I try not to do too much building. So thank you all so much for joining me, and I will talk to you all very, very soon tomorrow morning, and hopefully there's some news for us too to chat about. Thank you.